Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alicia Katz-Pollock, and my website is learn.royalwise.com. And I was recently given an opportunity to speak to the All-Star Accounting Professionals Group, ASAP, in Portland, Oregon, about Zapier. And I wanted to share the workshop that I did with them and give you an idea about a new tool that's out on the market called Zapier, which is a web-based tool which allows you that when something happens in one of your web-based apps, you can make things happen in your other web-based apps. So what Zapier does is it has triggers and actions. And so you can, instead of having to put in data in more than one place, if you put in data in one place, you can use Zapier to have that data show up in another. And so what I wanted to do is show you a little bit about how Zapier works and then join into the workshop with ASAP. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you. And we're taking a look at the website, Zapier.com. And when you log into Zapier, there's a home area where all of their apps are. So I'm going to go ahead and start there. The whole goal is to save you time. And there are like maybe 1,500 different apps that you can use. And so if you look through all of these different apps here, you'll see lots of them that you use. Google Sheets, Twitter, Gmail, Slack, MailChimp, Facebook Leads, Trello, Google Calendar, Facebook Pages, ClickFunnels, Instagram, Asana. You know, some of these are extremely common. Some of them are kind of obscure. Salesforce, Acuity. And the whole idea is that if an action happens in one of them, you can make an action and make that action happen in another one. So, for example, a lot of you who are probably in my audience are QuickBooks Online fans. And so QuickBooks Online is premium, which means you have to pay for the Zapier service in order to use it. But an example of how I use it is that if I create an invoice or a sales receipt in my QuickBooks Online, it automatically adds them to my newsletter in MailChimp. And I don't have to lift a finger or remember to do it later, which is pretty cool. Let's go up to the pricing so you can see the structure of the pricing. So Zapier on the basically is free. You can make 5 zaps, including some 2-step zaps, and it doesn't cost you a penny. If you want to make more zaps, like 20 zaps, or have zaps that do several different steps, or you're using one of the premium apps like QuickBooks Online, then you do have to pay for the plan. But oh my God, it's so worth it. That the fact that I don't have to constantly go into MailChimp and email everybody is just absolutely amazing. And so let's take a look at how this works. Let's go ahead and join in with the ASAP webinar. What questions do you have so far?
Do the zaps have to be from one app to another, or can they be within an app?
They can be within an app.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's explore some of the, I can explore some of the apps that we have set up, or we can like play what if and make a new one.
And I would just add, I think I heard Melissa say that that there was some struggle with understanding and being creative about what you could do. Mm-hmm. I will often start with the explore area and just pull up, like I won't invest into an application unless I know that maybe Zapier would work with it. Mm-hmm. So that's like a strategy that I have, but I would pull up, you know, the ones that I'm thinking about and just see what the triggers are, what the triggers or the action steps are. And that starts to help my brain a little bit go through what's possible, because often we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
So for instance, I think Alicia, you have Teachable and Thinkific on there. Mm-hmm. So let's just take something simple. For example, I think most everybody is familiar with Gmail, maybe. Yeah. Google Mail. Okay. So if we wanted to search for Google, yeah, there we go. There's one. And then if you scroll down on the page, it's going to show you kind of some ideas that other people are using Gmail for. How they're sharing the apps. And then that big red block further down, keep going there. There it is. So app details for current selections. Right there, it's showing me that there are 7 triggers 5 actions and 1 search. And I'll go through those and just kind of see what's possible for Gmail.
Okay.
And
that's
then,
helpful.
yeah, and then if you added another app to the scenario up there in the Explore area, it's going to tell you how those two might work together, which is really great.
So let's try, since all of us are QuickBooks people, let's pull up QuickBooks.
Okay.
So now there's the perfect match of create a personalized receipt for QuickBooks sales with Wordsmith and email it to a customer. So it looks like that's the only direct Gmail one. But I'm going to actually take off the Gmail and let's just look at the things you can do with QuickBooks Online. Mm-hmm. So you can make sales receipts for Stripe charges. You can make WooCommerce sales receipt or QuickBooks Online sales receipts from WooCommerce orders, and vice versa. So there's the sales receipt. There's just adding the person as a customer. There's Shopify. There's Google Sheets. So if you were making it in QBO, you can also save it to a row in Google Sheets. So if you wanted to export that data to another app, you could. There's ShipStation orders from QuickBooks Invoices. There's Salesforce integration. Add PayPal customers to QuickBooks Online. So if somebody orders on PayPal, it will actually add the customer for you. And so, especially with that Connect to PayPal app in the bank feed, this would already have the customer in there. So you can add the customer, not just the customer name, and you still have to create that manually.
Okay.
So that customer would be there. Does anybody, I don't know if anybody uses Braintree or Gravity forms, but you could have somebody fill in a Gravity form and it will add them to QuickBooks for you. Here's the MailChimp one that we make good use of. There's FreshBooks invoices to QuickBooks. So if they're using FreshBooks for some reason, they can also mirror in QuickBooks. Google Contacts, Zoho Invoices, Pipedrive, Wufoo, and shout out if any of these are ones that you use, as we can take a look at it. Limo Anywhere, Infusionsoft, and there's 24 more. Create QuickBooks Online customers from new Amazon Seller Central orders. Okay, so Melissa, there's one that's right up your alley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paymo, Zendesk, Infusionsoft, Pipedrive. Again, yell if this is an app that you use. Google Drive. I don't use Recurly. I don't even know what it is. Citrix ShareFile. Create ShareFile folders from online customers. Does anybody here use ShareFile?
I have used it.
Okay. There's a lot of accountants use ShareFile.
Yeah, that's true.
And so if you add somebody to your QuickBooks, it will make them their ShareFile folder for you and you don't have to do it. Rike, Teachable, Podio, NEC, the list goes on and on. So just if we, because I think there's over 100 of them, but using that box that Audrey was talking about, that if you make a new invoice, that's a trigger. If you take a payment, that's a trigger. If you create a purchase order, that's a trigger. If you create a new vendor, that's a trigger. And so when I say it's a trigger, it means that if you do these things, then Zapier can recognize that you're doing it and take that information and act on it. So make a new account, make a sales receipt, add a customer, add as an estimate, add a bill, add an invoice, add an expense. So anytime you take any of those actions, then it can do these things for you. Whoops. It can create a journal entry, create a bill, send an invoice, create a refund receipt, create a purchase order, create a bill. So these are actually kind of the receiving end. So with these actions, if something happens in a different app, you can do these things inside QuickBooks Online. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you have all of these different actions that if this activity happens over there, this will happen over here in your QuickBooks. And then there's some searches as well. You can use it to find a customer, find a vendor, find a product, or find an invoice, so that there's really some data connection there. Okay, does that make sense? That part of the structure? Okay. So we can look at some of mine, or we can play with one. I think the MailChimp, does anybody here use MailChimp or Constant Contact?
Yeah, both.
We're not big on marketing here.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Okay.
both.
Because I was going to show off
Constant Contact.
Constant Contact? Okay.
Yeah, I'm adding it to I'm just starting it.
Okay, good. And hopefully you all know that Constant Contact was just added to your Pro Advisor benefits. And so all of us as Pro Advisors start off with a 15% off on Constant Contact. And the higher you go in the QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor portal, the more your discount is, up to 50% off Constant.
I actually just got it free
Well, good for you.
from another place, but yeah,
Okay.
one of my community.
Free is even better. Okay. So let me show you what this looks like, at least in terms of the sales receipts. So for me, most of the time for my clients, I make a sales receipt at the end of the session. So if I go in and take a look at that Zap, this is what it looks like over on the left-hand side. So the trigger is if I make a sales receipt. And so what it does is first I pick the app that I want, and then you pick the trigger from that trigger list that we were looking at earlier. And then it takes a look at what account you're using, and then it gives you an opportunity to test the step. And we'll build one of these from scratch. And then it also has the ability to do a filter. It can say, hey, only continue if there's a particular rule. So we have it actually excluding anybody from my Matrix is our learning management platform. So it creates a sales receipt. So if a sales receipt is created, unless it's from Matrix, in which case don't do this. Then there's the connection to our MailChimp. And so we've picked the MailChimp app, and the action that it takes is to add or update an existing subscriber. And then it connects to the MailChimp, and then it gives me like all of these options about like, do I do double opt-in? Do I send a welcome email? If there's already somebody in there, should it overwrite the information? And then we also even have it add to some tags that we have, some sublists. And so because we do Apple and Microsoft Office and QuickBooks, if they have filled in one of those fields, then it will also tag it there as well. And so you can see that's kind of the process for building a Zap. Okay, so we're going to make a new Zap. We are going to say that when I make a new customer in QuickBooks Online, so I'm going to say new customer, and I'll save and continue. And so the next thing that it wants to do is connect my account. So since I already have an existing account, this would allow me to test it. But notice that there's a connect an account box right there. And so if I wanted to, if I was not already connected, I would use this connect an account, and it would ask for my credentials. If I want to just test it and verify and make sure it works, I'll click testing, and sure, it works. So then and if I didn't already have it connected, when I did connect an account, it would, this is where it's going to make me spin, so I'm not going to bother, but it would just have me log in and put in my username and my password, and then it would gather all of my data. Okay, so I will now save and continue. And it wants me to use a sample, so I can pull in like the last sales receipt that I made. And so this is one of my samples, or I can take a look and see which one would be my best example to use as a test. So I'll go with this one. and then I'll continue. So does that step make sense? It's basically looking in my data, seeing what something is recently that would trigger. And so I'll pick it as my sample. Then the next is my action step. So I'll add an action step, and now it wants to know what it is that I want to do. There are, in addition to the apps from third parties, there are also some built-in actions that it can take. I haven't played with a whole lot of these, but so they're a little bit more technical, but there's other things that you can do. So in my case, what I'm going to do is add it to Asana as a to-do. So Asana, if you're not familiar with Asana, is an amazing to-do list and project management board. I have one board with Audrey. I have another board that's our internal board, and so everybody can see what they're supposed to be working on, and we can communicate together. So in this case, what I'm going to have it do is create a new task for me. So I'll click on Create Task, and I will save and continue. And again, it wants to know what Asana accounts I want to use here. I think, Audrey, I'm going to use this one. Let me go ahead and test it and make sure that it works. Okay, good. So this is my personal Asana. And I will then save and continue. And so now it's going to take a look at my Asana and gather the information that it needs. So first it wants to know which of my Asana boards do I want to take this on. Should it be on my board with Audrey? Should it be on my own internal board? Okay, so I'll put it on my own internal board. So I click on it and then it plans it. Now that I've picked my board, it wants to know which of my projects on that board where do I want to put this. So I will put this in my to-do list. And if you want, you can even have it go to multiple projects. Okay. Now I add the test to this section within the project. So now it wants to know, now that I've chosen my board, now it wants to know where do I want to put it, and I'll put this under customer calls. So I made a sales receipt, and this is going to remind me to make it, this is going to make a test to remind me to call them. Okay. Now when I choose name, now it's going to look at my QBO file and which of these has the name of the customer. So I will use their display name. And if I wanted it to pull in any notes from QuickBooks, I could have it pull in any of the fields as my notes, like maybe a memo field or a description field. So now it's going to, in the notes, give me my email address. I can have it pick dates like today, tomorrow, next Tuesday. So I'll say Friday. So it'll give me until Friday. I can assign it to a person. So in my case, I will assign it to myself, but you can see that I can even delegate using Asana's delegation tools. And if I wanted additional followers in Asana, that means that other people can see what's happening on the card, but I'm not going to do that. So now I have told it to, taking it from the top, go to Asana, go to my organization, put it on my project list in my customer calls column, and populate it with Erin's name and email address. And I actually want to put in her phone number too. So now I have her contact information. I'll continue. And so now it's going to send a test. And so this is what it's going to create. So I'm going to send the test to Asana and see what it does. And so a task was sent to Asana. So I'm going to go ahead and pull over my Asana board. There's the one that just got created, Erin Chury. And so there's her email address and her phone number. So I have that contact information now at my fingertips. So that's an example of the activity. And so now when I finish that particular Zap, it would then, anytime I make a sales receipt, so I'm sorry, let me actually say a couple more things. I can also add another step, add another task. I can actually have it do other things in other programs as well, all as part of this one task. So I would finish that, and then so I would say QB, let me put test in front of this so we know to delete it. QBO sales receipt to Asana call board. And then I would turn it on. And so now the next time I go into QuickBooks and make a sales receipt, you would see that on my Asana board. So I'm going to go ahead and add a sales receipt. And I will add it for, let's see, do I have any of you in my system? Summer, no. So there's Tito. I'll go ahead and make a sales receipt for him. And I'll save and close it. Oh, I need a payment method. Save and close. So now I have made my sales receipt. And now when I go back into Asana, then I'll refresh my window.
I wonder if there's a 5-minute lag on that. I was reading somewhere on the Zap that sometimes it's checking every 5 minutes.
Okay, so we'll give it a second to come back around. But so what I'm going to be looking for is a new item on this, showing me that it's with Tito's information. Okay, so that's the idea with Zapier. So anything that you do where you're doing it in more than one place, like somebody makes an appointment. How many people are using Acuity or Calendly for your scheduling? Is anybody using those tools?
No.
And if you don't mind switching gears and talking about that, that was one of my best calls, was adding in, I use Acuity for my scheduling. And so what it does is it creates a self-serve portal that people can go to a link and pick a time that fits the calendar. And so I don't have to now talk to every single client and do that email back and forth. You know, clients will say, oh, well, give me a series of dates that you're open, and then they'll pick one, and then they'll get back to you 3 days later, and now that time isn't available anymore, and you're constantly going back and forth, or phone tag. You don't have to do any of that anymore. What this allows you to, what Acuity and Calendly allow you to do, is pick an appointment type. Like, let's say I want to do a follow-up appointment with somebody by screen share. It will then show me all the times that I'm open. So I have an appointment open on the 28th, and so we can make it at 1 o'clock. And then I'll put in that information. It will email them a confirmation. And because I have it connected to my Zoom, it will even set up the Zoom appointment and send them the Zoom link as well. And so again, I don't have to like now play the phone tag, make the appointment on my calendar, go make a Zoom for it. The more you can do with app integrations, the less work you have to do. And so I just, when I look at my calendar, this even adds it to my calendar. So when I look at my calendar, and this is what my life looks like, you're going to think I'm absolutely nuts, but this is our life. So when I have an appointment with somebody, like even our one for today, Summer scheduled this by using my Acuity, which generated a Zoom link, sent her an email, and then she forwarded that email to you. And I even have a little form that they fill out so that they know that I have a heads up as to what the issue is and what the concern is. So while this isn't Zapier, it's the same kind of web, what they call webhooks, where it's a connection between, it's a native connection between Acuity, Zoom, and Google Calendars, that I give them a link, they book the appointment, and it shows up on my calendar, and it sends them the Zoom link, and it's in my Zoom, and I'm not spending my time taking those 3 steps.
I like the Zoom link part.
Yeah,
I just did that with somebody. Now I have recurring monthly scheduled meeting with a certain time with 3 different clients, so they know what to expect. It's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And are you using Acuity or Calendly? Which one?
I was playing with both of them. I think Acuity wins.
Yeah, it's so incredibly feature rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I absolutely love it. And it gives me the ability to reschedule appointments. It even looks at my Apple Calendar to see if
that was a win for me because of the Apple Calendar.
Yeah, that's
I have it synchronizes all my iWorld things.
Exactly. So even though I'm scheduling on a Google Calendar, it goes and it checks my personal calendar just to make sure there's no time conflicts. So, my own life calendar, all of these colors are different family members, and like what's my Jamie's my business partner. He does Apple trading. So what clients is he seeing? And, if I, so it looks at my calendar, it looks at his calendar, it looks at the family calendar, it finds times with no conflicts. They can pick it, they get a confirmation email, they get a reminder email, and it sets up the Zoom and sends them the Zoom link. It's a holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So while that's not Zapier specific, you can see that the whole goal is do it once, not do it 3 times. So
does calendar, I can never say the word calendary. Does it have the option to connect to your Google Calendar, or is it only Acuity?
I don't know. I remember doing the research, and I don't remember which the deal. I don't know if it was something like that was a deal breaker with Calendly, or if Acuity just had this extra feature. I don't quite remember what it was. That Zap still has not done what I asked it to do. So
it may have been, stopped. So you can check the Zap history and see if it was stopped for some reason.
Okay, so this is the one that I was on. So here's the task history. And so that's what Audrey is talking about, is the ability to see, no tasks matching that query. So why did that not trigger? QBO sales receipt. Oh, because it was new customer. It was not create a sales receipt. Oh, sorry, everybody. That the wrong thing. All right, did the wrong thing. That's why it didn't work. So we go to the customer center. Add the new customer. And who's we made? Okay, Kim, you're going to win for my guinea pig.
Okay. I got the short name.
And so I need to put in an email address for you.
It's Kim at backtobasicsbookkeeping.com. That's not short.
That's all right. And your phone number.
503-307-8373.
You're already in there. Okay, who else is going to win next? Donna. Donna, what's your email? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I'm muting. Okay, my email, Donna at dmc-qbadvisor.com.
And actually, technically, it doesn't matter if this information is real, because I'm just
it's a worker.
There we go.
We understand.
All right, so I will now save it. Donna, you're already in there too. This is crazy. All right.
That's because we're loved, right?
Yeah. All right. What about who do I know? Heather.
Okay, this is another long one.
It's D-I-E.
D-E-I.
D-E-L-E.
Yeah.
Okay. And
the QB in my domain name was capitalized. I could not use it.
Because of the branding? All right, Heather.
Yeah.
Okay,
People have
so
been saying, how come you don't have to capitalize? Well, I said, well, there are reasons why.
Yeah. Heather at Fox, F-O-X, Hills, H-I-L-L-S, bookkeeping.com.
Okay. Save. What is going on? That's not possible.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Something's wrong.
I'm in there.
You're in there. When did we work together? Oh, back in...
Another class, maybe? Another...
All right. I'm out of people. I'm going to make a fake person. Here we go.
You can use my first name.
Mr. Natural.
All right. Jon Snow, for all you need to know. I know nothing at GameOfThrones.com. All right, so new client. I click save. There we go. Okay, and now I head over to my, and I refresh in my Asana. And now I'm going to assume that it's a matter of time. It's still not activating. Love that. All right, what's going on?
When you go to the finish screen.
Okay. While on this app, we'll check for your QuickBooks new online new customer every 5 minutes. So I do have a.
Oh, you have to wait. Yeah.
I do have a 5-minute wait. Okay, so we have to do a 5-minute wait on that. But we have about 5 minutes left. So that's perfect. All right. What questions do you have? What use cases would you like to explore?
I'm curious if you've ever used it. One of the examples given you said was Google Sheets invoices. So if I have this situation where I have a client that when they want me to invoice, they add a line to a Google Sheet. I have an alert set in Google Sheets to alert me, and then I go in and create an invoice. Could that work?
Yeah, it absolutely could. There is a Zap to take a QBO trigger. And so in your case, it was new invoice?
It was a line, the trigger was a line filled out on a Google Sheet.
Oh, the other way around. Okay.
Yeah.
Back up. Okay, so Google Sheets, new spreadsheet row.
Yeah.
Save and continue. Okay, and so it would, it'll take my existing Google Sheets accounts and, or again, you would connect and then save. And then it would ask you where the spreadsheet is in your system. And then on the worksheet, what, so you have to pick the spreadsheet first, but then it would ask you for what worksheet it's on. And then you would then be able to create the invoice in QuickBooks, and that will work.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't have any spreadsheets handy. Do I?
And that example of that one, that is a single, the free version is not available for multi-Zap processes. Is that a single Zap process?
Yeah. Yeah, because all this is doing is there's a new row in Google Sheets, make an invoice.
Yeah. Okay.
Although it would have to be paid if you're doing QBO.
It would have to be paid.
The QBO is one of the paid apps.
Oh, that's right. I see what you're
One
saying.
of the premium apps.
Right. So then I'd have to get on the minimum plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's great. What other use cases would people have?
For like Shopify or PayPal or all those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Transactions to come over, but you don't want the customers because like, well, some of mine are so small it wouldn't matter. But I've got one person with PayPal where if they brought the customers over, it would be outrageous.
Yeah.
But what about just the transaction, just the sales receipt, with the gross and the fee? Right.
Well, if you're talking about gross and fee, then I would just use the Connect to PayPal app. Anyway, that's what it is going to give you as a result.
I need to bring it over now because I started that one. The PayPal app is okay if you've got a small account. For the really huge accounts, it still is just a nightmare.
Yeah, you absolutely don't want to bring over, if you've got somebody who's using PayPal as their main merchant services, do not bring them over. You'll wind up with way too many transactions. Stripe.
Disconnected it and started using a journal entry instead.
Yeah, absolutely. I just started working with a bookstore who was using Square for their point of sale system, and they had it fully integrated and bringing everybody over. Fortunately, she started working with me in the first month of her business, because she already had 3,000 sales receipts in a month. And they already couldn't run reports. Reports were already hanging up. And so I immediately just took the integration down and taught her how to make a daily sales receipt, because she would have been dead in the water almost instantly.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's go see if that one, if 5 minutes has gone by and if it's triggered yet. There it is.
There we go.
There's John Snow. There's his email address and his phone number. I didn't put a space between them, but if I had physically put a space between them, there would be a space, or if I had put them on the next rows, they would have showed up on 2 different rows.
Okay.
Yeah. And so now I know that this is somebody, I have a new customer, I need to give them a call. Okay. So that's how Zapier works. And so whether it's actually using Zapier like we were doing, or just really making use of integrations that already exist between your apps, like Zoom. Zoom is really highly integrated with a lot of different apps. Like, it's in my learning management system, I can create a Zoom. Or, you know, we just saw with Acuity, the anytime you find yourself taking information from here and putting it over here, your first thought out of the water right now should be, is there a Zap for that? Because there's an excellent chance that there already is a Zap for that. And if there's not a Zap for that, then it shouldn't be hard to, there's webhooks, there's other integrations out there that can do the job.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think it's so customizable that it's almost makes it hard, because it's your thinking that stops you from like what all you can do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think that's, I'm with Melissa. I see what she's saying. There's so much that it can do. It's hard to know what to do.
Right. And, you know, that's why I invited Audrey onto this call. It's like, I'm good for just a simple if then that.
Yeah.
But once I get into exclude this situation, all the different variations of that one, like Audrey and I have been working for a while on one that I use my learning management platform for my content is on a platform called Matrix. And so whenever I get a new course enrollment in Matrix, I want them in MailChimp, and I want it to add a sales receipt in QuickBooks, and, you know, and all of the different parameters that it does with those things, that Audrey's been absolutely instrumental in helping debug the process. Like in this circumstance, it's this, but in this other circumstance, we actually have to do it a slightly different way. Mm-hmm. And so Zapier development can get really complex because it's so intricate for what you're able to do. Mm-hmm. That, you know, that's something that's pretty cool about it.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for spending your Tuesday afternoon with me.
Yeah, thanks for your time, Alicia. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, if anybody's like, oh, I want to talk to Audrey about this, let me know and I'll be able to pass off her information as well.
Okay. She's looking down like, no.
No, actually, I love this stuff. This is like programming for dummies. It makes me feel super amazing to be able to work in Zapier. I'm like, ooh, look at me, I'm a programmer.
But it gets your creative brain to work too. That's what's cool about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Like one of the use cases that I'm working on, I have a client who's getting enrollments on Eventbrite, but he has two kinds of tickets, either a fully paid ticket or a partially paid ticket. And so we're working on a Zap that if it's not a full ticket, then make an open invoice in QuickBooks.
How cool is that, right?
Right. And so that's the one that he's working on perfecting. And so we've got it like this far dialed in. And then I said, okay, I've gone as far as I can go. It's going to Audrey for polishing.
You know, that just made me think about something that we could do. So like when somebody goes and pays through Stripe through our Membership Works program that's connected to Squarespace, okay, we want to add them to Evite. I wonder if that's an option.
Yes, absolutely is.
Okay, so Stripe through Squarespace.
So how do you use it for events? Like if you have a like an event where you're selling a bunch of product or something, how does it differ from if they're buying it through QB Payments or Square like right now?
No, it looks like,
Can you tell
Evite's
if track it for that event or something, or that specific? How granular can you get for it?
Say that again, Donna. I was looking at the Evite, and Evite's not on.
Yeah, so like if you're having an event, because I have clients that do products and services, and they have events like, I don't know, open houses or community festival events or whatever. Besides Stripe and Square and QB Payments, can you ask it to become more granular with it, connecting it with a Zap? I'm just trying to see how that would play out to make it better for QuickBooks integration.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on, like, here are the different event connections that it has. It doesn't have Evite, unfortunately.
It does not. Okay.
That is a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of my clients is going to have a wellness festival. We're going to have several people there, like lots of vendors. We could probably use that, but no Evite. Interesting. Okay.
Right. But there is Eventbrite, and I actually was using it with Eventbrite.
Eventbrite, yeah. Okay.
A year ago. And so if somebody makes something in Eventbrite or Eventzilla, or says that they're coming to a meetup, then you can add them to this other thing over there.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
I'm just thinking right now. I'm thinking about lots of things. That's okay. It's good.
And I encourage you to go in and just explore. Your basic account is completely free, and it's only if you're doing some of the premium activities that you have to pay for something. It either goes by premium or by volume. If you are doing a lot of Zaps, or if you want them to run, you don't want it to wait this length of time. You want it to run immediately. Those are all upsell.
What's considered a premium activity? Like batch processing, or
some of it is just by app.
Flex.
Right. So the higher end or more popular, probably my guess is that the most popular app are all the premium ones, so that they
one of the ones we might have already.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
In our ecosystem. Yeah, okay.
So here's Expensify.
Yeah.
Think about all the different ways that something happens in Expensify. What else could you want it to do? Fulfillment by Amazon. If you have anybody who's doing Amazon fulfillment, there's all different ways of doing that. And so if we look up at pricing up in the upper right-hand corner, you can see that it's either by the volume of them. So the free one gives you 5 Zaps and 2-step Zaps, or you can pay to get 20 Zaps with multi-step Zaps and include the premium apps.
Got it.
Or if you want even more Zaps, you've got, so you've got the different levels by how much you use it. But the more you can automate, the less you have to do. And $18 a month, oh my God, for not every time I do a sales receipt for having to add them to these other.
Time is money right there.
Yeah.
Got it.
Got it?
Yeah. Totally.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you.
And so I'm Alicia at learn.royalwise.com, and I'll see you at the next one.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.